My salutations
Sai Ram.
at the lotus feet of my very, very loving Sai Ma. That's my relationship with Swami and Sai Ram to all of you. The experience that I'm going to share today with you all is based in, it was 2007, January. I had retired in 2006, March, and we were looking forward to a long stay in Parthi during winters, extending till January, and also to get the opportunity of seeing the sports day over there, because we could never do that during the earlier years as I was working, and our holidays would finish by the 2nd of January. So it was the 6th of January when I went for darshan. And my husband normally always followed after about a half an hour or so. And thereafter, he would hang around with his friends that he had made over there. There was a gentleman who was an Indian, would become a doctor in Russia. And there was another gentleman from Sri Lanka. So they exchanged views with each other. So on that particular day, after darshans were over and I was coming out of the main gate, the Seva Dal was calling out, "Who is Kiran Diwan? Who is Kiran Diwan?" So I was taken aback. I went to her and I said, "I'm Kiran Diwan." "But why are you taking my name?" So she said, "I have a message from your husband, and he just wants you to know that he's gone to the super specialty." I said, "All right, thank you so much." And I came out and I was wondering that why did Amrit leave such a message and get my name announced over there. He normally goes out sometimes for satsang with his friends. Sometimes he goes out to other places. Anyhow, I went back home and I started preparing for lunch. And suddenly I saw my mobile. So I thought, let me check if there were any missed calls. And there were 2-3 missed calls from an unknown number. So I took that call and I rang up that number, and it turned out to be a young lady who was working as a nurse in the super specialty, living down the lane where we were staying. And she rang up and she said, "Auntie, I've been trying to get your number, and uncle is not well and he is in the ICU." I said, "You must be kidding. Just 1 hour back, when I went for darshan, it was absolutely fine. What happened?" She said, "Auntie, don't worry. Everything is fine, under control, but you come over." So I told her, "Fine, I'll be coming." So I took a scooter straight away and I went to the super specialty, and I went to the ICU, found that girl, and she took me to Amrit. He was lying all strapped up, and different gadgets were strapped onto him. And he could speak all right. So he told me that how during darshans, when he was sitting down there, he was feeling uneasy. And so he went back right at the back of Kulwant Hall next to the wall just to take the support. After some time, say about 5 minutes or so, the gentleman who is a medical doctor from Russia, he got a message, a prompting from inside to go at the back. So he also came. He was not sitting with Amrit earlier, but he just came at the back and he sat down near Amrit. After 2 minutes, he looked at him and he said, "You're not looking good." So he said, "Yes, I'm feeling a little restless." So immediately he asked for a stretcher from the Seva Dal and they took him to the general hospital. Now, after all the checks there, they found that his ECG was clear and all other parameters were perfectly okay. But that guy insisted, no, he has to go to the super specialty. So he, on his insistence, and he got a slip from the general hospital to take him there. And he reached the super specialty and got him admitted in the ICU under the emergency care. Over there, once he was strapped to all those latest equipment that Swami has in his hospital, it was found that he had a heart problem. And all along, just to add over here, though we come from the defense background and we have very good medical facilities from the defense, but whenever we went over there for his restlessness and not feeling too good, all his reports would be clear. And everybody would just tell him, sir, you're fine. Just go eat, drink, and be merry. There's nothing to worry about. This was the first time that his problem was monitored and identified. And the doctors got cracking and they gave him the medicines that were supposed to be given. Now, when I reached there, they allowed me to stand next to him. And normally nobody else was there. But you'd be surprised, my ma, she allowed me to stay with him, not only the day, but the whole night I was with him in the ICU. And nobody even once said, please go out. They gave me a chair to sit next to him, which was very kind of them. And I sat the whole night with Amrit. Next day, he was, because they had identified what was his problem. And so they shifted him to the ward. Here too, they were kind enough to allow me to stay in the ward, though it was not a routine over there. And the nurse at night gave me a sheet to put on the ground and sleep with Amrit. And Amrit was, like improving every day. Now in the morning, as you all know, there is a bus that goes from the hospital to the ashram to get all the staff members from there back to the hospital. So somebody guided me that if you want to go towards Prashanti, you get into this bus and go home, have your bath, and then come back. So I went, I did the same. And I came back. Now for lunch and for dinner, he was improving and he was getting his food over there. So he told me, you go down and try to get some food to eat. So when I went down, I asked them, where's the canteen? So they guided me to the staff canteen and to the Sevadal canteen. So I went in and I took my token and I had my food. Now this went on every day from 6th till the 10th. 10th, it was intimated to us that most probably Amrit would be sort of discharged from the hospital. So we were very happy. And but then the doctor didn't come. And so then he told me in the evening, he was very sure about my keenness for seeing the sports day. So he said, Kiran, tomorrow morning when you go back to the ashram, don't come back after your bath and all, go and see the sports day. You're so keen to see it. And I'm fine, absolutely. So don't worry about it. So I told him that, no, my fundas are very clear. If there's something that I have to do, that's far more important than going and witnessing any sports day. So I'm not going to go, Amrit. So there's no argument on this issue. So let's drop it. So it was decided that, okay, I won't be going. Now, in the evening of 10th, there was an announcement, a loudspeaker announcement in all the wards of the hospital, which said that there is an announcement that tomorrow's sports day has been cancelled. It will be now conducted day after tomorrow. And you know that sports day in Parthi is fixed on 11th of January. So it was shifted to 12th. So I looked at Amrit with a twinkle in my eyes and said, I think maybe Swami wants me to go and see it, So anyhow, I knew that I couldn't leave Amrit. Even if he got discharged, we would be at home. I couldn't have left him at home alone and gone for sports day. But anyhow, it gave me a lot of happiness with the very fact that it was postponed by one day. Now, next day morning, there's a gentleman whom we know who was on the staff at that time. And he suddenly dropped in at our place in the hospital. And he said, okay, you've got discharged. He'd actually found out from me that Amrit was getting discharged on 11th morning. So he came with his car and he took us back home and dropped us in our room where we were staying. Now, that evening, now this was the 11th of January, that evening, he surprised us even more by coming and giving us this news that tomorrow I'm going to take Amrit with me in the car to witness the sports day. And Benji, he calls me Benji, these are 4 or 5 passes I'm giving you. And you have to take these slum children whom I look after and accost them and take them and see the sports day. So I was amazed at that, because though we knew some people who were on the staff and they were very well placed, But somehow we'd never asked anyone for any favors for sitting in the front or for any such, or to take any advantage of any kind. And this was like a God sent, boon for us. So next day, Amrit was feeling definitely much better. He went in his car and he told him that in case you feel tired, I'll get you back, so don't worry, but you must go there. You'll have Swami's darshans from there. So he took Amrit and I went with the children, and we got a very good view to see the children participating in the sports there, which was wonderful. Now, besides this, when I was in the hospital, I go back a little bit, like morning and evening, like I was telling you, that they guided me to the Seva Dal, canteen, and where the doctors also sit. And I was having my meals every day from there, like this lunch and dinner. So it went on from this, not 6th, you can say 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. And on the last day, that is the 10th, 11th, the Seva Dal brings that guy who is in charge of the canteen there. I think those people who worked over there, they all know him. He's quite a, big face over there. So she brought him and she pointed out at me and said, look, she's the lady who's been eating here, and she's not a Seva Dal and she's not a doctor. So I didn't really know where I was sitting, and eating was not the correct place to eat. So I just looked up very innocently at him, and he looked at me, and then he told her, don't bother her, let her eat her food, and he left. So that's how our experience finally ends, over here, that how my dearest Ma, I know there must have been some other reason for which the sports day was, shifted from 11 to 12. But the joy that she gave me, my mother gave me in my heart, was tremendous. It was like one is one with her, one with her. She feels what you feel, and she gives you what she thinks is best for us. Sai Ram to all of you.